Yeah,
Hi.
go.
I
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I want to start out by just saying is how I feel, which is a good way to start,
Okay.
is that you completely like changed my life so much. It's been almost 2 months
That
since
makes
I've
me emotional.
Oh, sorry.
No,
It
no, don't apologize. Emotions are good. I'm doing a cleanse right now or like a diet shift. So like everything is open and like I've gotten rid of coffee and sugar
Oh
and
dang.
grains and cheese and
Oh wow.
nightshades and all the things. So I'm
Okay.
stripping layers.
Yeah, no,
But that's
how
so wonderful. That's wonderful to hear that I've changed your life. I really that makes me feel really good about what I do.
good. What is how are you feeling any different from changing your diet?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
the reason why I did is because I was having so much inflammation and I was feeling sick like every time I ate because I've got Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune issue with your thyroid, where your body basically attacks your thyroid. And I've had it for 10 years, but and kind of I've gone through periods where I get really strict with my diet and then go through periods where it's tacos and pizza and
Yeah.
beer sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And my body just, I think after doing so much energy work last year and just doing so much work in general, my body was like, we're not doing this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
we're just not. So I have a lot less inflammation. I feel
Oh,
a lot
cool.
more limber, like my body feels like I can move better. I've been sleeping heavier. I've got less anxiety. I've been less cranky, less
That's
mood swings. So yeah, but the food is fucking boring as shit.
yeah, no,
So
that's congratulations though.
thank you.
Yeah, I got really sick last year and I like eliminated everything, but
Mm,
really the only thing that made any difference was coffee, to be honest. Like
yeah.
everything else like eliminating dairy, just I ate yeah, nothing fun, nothing
Yeah, no, it's all meat,
charming.
vegetables, and like bone broth. Like
Yeah, yeah.
and I ate soup for breakfast, which is fucking weird, but whatever.
Well,
We're
I'm
doing
glad
it.
it's working. But
Thank you.
yeah, but so it's been 2 months since I've seen you, and I guess, um, yeah, it's just amazing to be traveling on this path of
Mhm.
life and to kind of to kind of have some answers of what's in your own head. I had no idea. It was just like I spend most of my time in like silence, but it's constant streams of stuff. And one of the
Mhm.
first things you did was really like alert me like sorry, but empower me to know that all the different voices and stuff are different and not all of them do I have to listen to, and it's not all of me, and I'm allowed to just be like, hey, you don't get to talk right now, like I don't
No.
feel like listening to that. And yeah, there's just so many things, and I guess I think a good place to start is I think the doing channeled readings, or just maybe if you explain what it is that you do, and
Okay.
we'll start there if that's okay.
Okay. Well, about let's see, it was 2000. I met my husband in 2008. We both became Reiki masters. Before that time, I'd been doing on the spiritual path. I've been on the spiritual path since I was 19. I'm 45, but I really started getting into my studies and getting attuned to things, learning about crystals, or like getting certified in all kinds of stuff. In 2008, my husband and I both became Reiki masters, and we went to go do a dual session on one of my friends, and all of a sudden all of this information got downloaded. Like I just kept seeing all these images and I was hearing all this stuff. So I'm clairaudient, which means I hear stuff psychically. I'm clairsentient, which means I feel stuff psychically. I'm clairvoyant. I have some of the other minor clairs, but those are the main ones. So we were doing this session on my friend. It was the first one we did together. And I saw beings come into the room. And I think it was a combination. My husband's a quadruple Aquarius, so I think he just kind of like activated
Wow.
something. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot of electrical energy. But he
Yeah.
like I feel like he activated something, and I just started hearing like all these different foods and all these things. And I didn't have a pen and paper because I wasn't prepared. I didn't think I thought I was just going to do Reiki on this woman,
Yeah.
And I think I might have laid stones, but I'm not sure. I think we just did double Reiki. But anyways, so much of this information came through and I was like, whoa. And then I was so excited about it. And the reason why, one of the ways I knew that it was not me that was just making up this shit in my head, because all of us, have those questions sometimes, is
Yeah.
that I heard marshmallow root and I'm like, what the fuck is marshmallow root? Like, I
Oh,
know what
wow.
marshmallows are, I know what roots are, but I don't know what marshmallow root is, right? And I go home and I look it up, and I asked her about it. And I asked her, because what it is, it does multiple things, but specifically it's used as an expectorant to get like phlegm out of your
Oh,
lungs.
wow.
And she didn't seem sick to me and she doesn't smoke. So I was like, I asked her, I said, have you had a lot of phlegm lately? And she said, yeah, I just got over bronchitis and I can't get all this phlegm out. So that was validation to me. You know what I'm saying? That this isn't my information that's coming through. And from that point on, I did start doing these sessions. And again, this was, what, 2008, I don't know how many, that like 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Then I started actually offering it as a service. Didn't have it very well put together, but the first probably 10 sessions I did, I was only charging, I think it was like $65. It was supposed to be 1 hour, and the person would leave with like, it turned to be into like 2.5, 3 hours. The
Yeah.
person would leave with like 4 pages of information. They were like, what do I do with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. And
Yeah.
so over my time of doing it the past 14 years, it's become like, I've asked my guides to make it more coherent, so that it's practical, because my moon's in Virgo, so I want to be practical. So basically what I do, you asked what it is that I do,
Yeah.
is I refer to them as multimodality sessions. I was calling it multidimensional integrative therapy. Like that's basically what it is. I'm working on different dimensions, working with different modalities to bring in basically homework for people to work on themselves. So people are getting their body and their energetic fields being reattuned to themselves and bringing into alignment with the use of crystals, tuning forks, and Reiki. But as I'm doing that work, I'm channeling information, as you've seen. So the
Yeah.
type of stuff that comes up are like foods to incorporate, crystals to work with, animal energies to tap into, oils and flower essences to work with, guides that are in your field or guides that your guides want you to work with. Sometimes past life information comes through, and then a whole page of random information, which can include like rituals to do for manifestations, physical exercises to get you in your body, clearing exercises, ways to get cords out, ways to clear ancestral stuff, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool. Yeah. I was like, I mean, for me personally, I don't know if this is typical. It's like, I'm like, I just want to talk to my guides. I just want to hear them. And
yeah,
I think when I went to you, they were just like, okay, is this how you want to hear it? And they're like, boom, here's
yes,
all this stuff. And it's like,
yeah,
it's just like when I first got home, I was like, wow, like I have like an hour and a half of stuff to do every day now. And
yeah,
which was so cool. But it was like,
yeah,
I don't think people have any idea um of what they need before I had no idea what it was
yeah.
necessarily, but then it was like everything you said, just was like, oh my god, that makes so much
Makes sense.
sense.
Yeah,
So many things, but also it just, yeah, it really is just like, if I guess if people want to know, it's just like um connecting to your body now, but also your body before and your not body, I guess. Like,
mhm.
but do you like the clairvoyance and clairaudience and that stuff? Um, is it easy for you to distinguish, or possible for you to distinguish between your guides telling you, or it just like, how is that?
This
How does that?
between like knowing whether or not it's me in my head or if it's my guides.
Yeah.
It feels different. I always try to explain, like I had an apprenticeship program, and when I was teaching my students about how to tune into their intuition in a different way, what I would say is it's almost got like a different flavor. It's like when
Okay.
you think things, but like when stuff drops in, or if I hear it, it's not something that I'm thinking of. It's a hard, I can't explain it, but it just feels like a different flavor or a different tone. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No,
And
that.
I want to say too, like, when people come in here really open and ready, that's a different energy. Like when I put your birthday post up, you came in here open and ready. You know what I'm saying? You're so easy to read because you're ready. Sometimes
Yeah.
people, I think a lot of people, especially people who are really skeptical, sometimes they'll go to psychics and it's like they're wanting them to perform circus tricks,
Totally. Yeah.
and I mean, you're wasting, if you want to pay me to like do circus tricks for you, that's not, you're taking away from yourself, not from me. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I think that that's also a reason maybe why it took me, or that worked for me so much at that time, is that I have just been like on a mission to like um become myself, I guess, like just
Yeah.
figure out what that is and be comfortable. And so I was
Hmm.
exactly ready to hear that stuff, because there's little things here and there that you kind of know, like, oh, I should meditate or what, or do
Oh, for sure.
yoga, or just this stuff that you're
Yeah,
like, I know I should eat healthy,
of
but
course.
when it
Yeah.
comes and it's right, and and you want to do it, I guess it's just like boom. But
Yes.
that's
I think also that the fact that, you get homework and it's very practical, it's like, I'm the same way, like with this program that I started for my eating, it's not as organized as I would like it to be, because my
right.
moon's in Virgo. I want it to be I want it to be easy. And I feel like, with spirituality, sometimes, people go get a reading or they go get a healing session. It's so far out there. It's like, I feel like when you have something that's practical that you can keep coming back to, I think that's why I've had success in my business, is because I don't say I'm a healer. I say I'm a healing practitioner, because I'm not healing you. If you're not willing to heal yourself, you're
Yeah,
not going to heal,
that's so
you're not going to
interesting.
change. Like, you have to commit to your own change. And it's this homework is all about putting you back in the power of yourself, and saying, you're just
Totally.
fucking powerful. You do it and see how much it changes you, which I think is important.
That's so cool, because yeah, that's so cool, because it is, being healed isn't, I mean, maybe it's real, I don't know, but
Yeah.
you have to want to do it and do work, and also you want to, or you have to want to be healed and
Mhm.
participate in it. And I guess that's another part, is that that I wanted to, I don't know if I said, I'm sorry, I'm just like,
That's okay.
this is a heroes podcast, so I just bring people I'm excited about and our heroes. But I guess, yeah, this isn't something that I think anybody really knows about me, but I have really like, I don't know if it's PTSD or whatever, but it's like I can't have people like near my head, or
Mm.
I guess near my feet or anywhere. So like being in a room with someone that's like has like tuning forks and all of this stuff, like I was nervous. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, like have someone near
Yeah.
my head and not like twitch at every, or just like um I just didn't know if I was going to be able to even do it. And just your energy and your self is just so good, and you're so good at your job, and it's just like
Yeah.
I didn't feel weird at all. I didn't like flinch or whatever, and I didn't, yeah, just to like trust someone near your body.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm afraid is going to happen, but it felt so good. And also just like I have never like, yeah, really been around someone that's um not never, but someone that's just giving,
Hmm.
in a physical way without trying to take anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that I think alone is so huge, and I feel like everyone should go to you and like do these things, because it's just like um we're all just moving so fast all around and
Yeah.
not,
It's intense right now on the planet. It's so intense.
yeah, and just like having somebody that's just giving energy to you specifically and not trying to take anything from you is like the
Mhm.
coolest thing. And like, yeah, it's, I guess that's
Well, what's
it,
funny about that is, like, I've done sessions. There's people that I've done sessions on. There's this one woman, I kind of always bring her up, um, who came to see me, and I said, "So, have I seen you before?" And she was like, "Laura, this is the fourth time." Because my point is that I don't remember stuff, because one, I'm just channeling, I'm channeling the Reiki, and I'm channeling the information. And it's not that I'm not interested. When I'm with you, I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm literally legitimately holding space for the person when I'm there.
yeah,
But when they leave, I say, you take with you what's yours, and I keep only what's mine. And that way, I don't, it's not mine to process. Like, I'm not trying to take anything from anybody,
yeah.
energetically.
Is that I don't know that much about Reiki. Is that the same as Reiki, where you're, or how, can you even explain what Reiki is?
Reiki is a form of,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. It's a form of energy healing that was birthed out of Japan. Now, a lot of people will say that it's, thousands upon thousands of years old, but it was brought to the surface, or brought to society, if you would, as a healing modality, by Dr. Sui, in Japan in the 1920s. And he was actually given a Medal of Honor for helping so many people across Japan. He had a bunch of clinics that he'd opened and helped, a lot of homeless people heal, a lot of just people in general, a lot of soldiers heal. And there was a woman, um, I think her name was, I can't remember her name. For some reason, Takata. Okay, Miss Takata. I think it's Takata. I'm sorry for those of you if you get mad that I don't remember this woman's name. But anyway, she was from Hawaii, and she went to Japan to get a healing because they were telling her body's like messed up. She, like, her gallbladder and her liver and all kinds of things were screwed up. They're telling her that she needed to have surgery, and she didn't want to do that. So she went and saw her family in Japan, and she wound up studying with him and getting attuned. So a Reiki master has to attune another person. So it's almost like you have to get these symbols dropped into your crown to turn on that channel, if you would.
Okay.
But I always say you're basically just a straw. It's universal light energy. That's what it is. It's not
Okay.
my energy. It's just energy that's being channeled through. It's just universal light that's being channeled through. And Reiki, they've done multiple studies on it. They've shown that it reduces blood pressure. It reduces anxiety. It helps people sleep. It helps the healing process go faster. It helps to reduce pain. So there's been studies that have shown that it actually does work. And actually, the state of California, I don't know if they still do it, I haven't looked, but the state of California used to offer continuing education credits to nurses if they got attuned to it. So it's that, it's not just some, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of healing modalities now that you're like, okay, sure, but this is one that's been around, for over a century in the United States, or at least,
Yeah.
came to the United States, I think in the 40s or something. But they used to charge like $10,000 to attune a person. Now you can get
Whoa.
an attunement for $200. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me because I guess like what we do or playing music, I kind of feel like, and you said some stuff about this, but it's like I
Mhm.
feel um like 80% of what I of my whole life is just channeling, and then I
Oh,
feel
it
like,
totally is.
yeah,
It totally is.
I
Yeah.
feel like on stage is just all, I'm not even there at all.
Yeah. You're
For
just a channel. You're like a body that's like doing all the stuff.
yeah, and I feel like there on stage, I feel like I am um what I consider like doing it the right way, in the sense that it's not my energy. I'm channeling other energy, but I feel
Yeah.
like in my normal life I use my own personal energy, and that's why I
Yeah.
get like sick and depleted. So I guess that's probably pretty common. Do you, I guess when you do work, you don't use your own energy ever.
No, and I actually get really high after I work.
Okay.
And a lot of times I get a healing too, or something, I feel better, I feel clearer, I feel more in tuned, and I mean, I used to do 10 in-person sessions a week before COVID. I was
Yeah.
doing like 10 in-person sessions a week on a fairly regular basis. I didn't start doing distance work until COVID hit. That's when I started really doing distance work. But I mean, I didn't get exhausted from it. I usually would get pretty wired, actually.
Whoa. And
Yeah.
do you have like ways that you, like if you're not using your energy but you are around other
Mm.
people's energy, is there a way that you grew to not like pick up on that stuff, or
Oh, girl, that took me. I always say that it took me 35 years to learn boundaries, and sometimes
okay.
even still, like, for people that I'm really close to, when I do let those boundaries down, which are probably the ones I should have more boundaries with, when I do let my boundaries down, I can get drained. But that people ask me, like, how can you be, with being clairaudient, clairsentient, being an empath, like, how do you go into places, like, how are you around a lot
Yeah.
of people? I put myself in a bubble. I mean, I definitely
Right.
wear protective stones. Like, I'm obviously like really into crystals, so I use crystals on a regular basis. Stuff like azurine or black tourmaline or pyrite, those are really good for having boundaries. but I try to stay grounded. I'm a pretty grounded person for somebody who spends a lot of time out in the ethers. I try to be really grounded. I think in the past I've used food for grounding. That's a common thing, which I feel like that's why I've had, challenges with my weight my whole life. But I feel like that's one of the biggest things that comes up for people on a regular basis is getting in their body, because there's so many people that struggle with anxiety and you know being too much of an empath, being too sensitive. There's so many people that have those issues these days,
Yeah.
and that's why almost every single person I work on, distance or in person, they give grounding exercises, because if you're in your body and you're grounded, you're protected because you're
Yeah.
aware of your energy field, you know?
Totally. Yeah. Well, one thing I've noticed, or I think, is that, and is that I was gonna say maybe we already talked about this. I don't not that we're
Probably in the
talking.
ethers.
Yeah, totally. But it's like I feel like a lot of people are realizing that they're psychic and empaths, even
Oh
without
yeah.
knowing that that's what's happening. And I think, just to bring it back, is like, if you think people that have had trauma have typically been more psychic and stuff like that, because they're
Yeah.
constantly practicing their boundaries and who they are, and like their feelings and their energy and
Yeah.
other people's energy, and trying to like stay safe in all these places. So they're just using those senses all the time. I think that that's why, personally. And then I think now that everyone's been inside all traumatized, they've like
Mhm.
really gotten to practice those things too. So now I think people are going outside and being like, oh my
Like,
God, I,
holy shit, this is too much energy. I can't handle all these people.
yeah, like and now they're in tune to it, and they're just like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you're psychic now. Like, or
Yeah.
whatever it means to be able to read energies. But
Oh, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, I think especially people who have had any kind of trauma to the first and second chakra pre-COVID, like which would be, issues around home, family, any kind of like sexual abuse or physical abuse. A lot of times those people, they're constantly kind of sending energy out, like putting their auric field out to
right.
feel if they're safe, and that's part of, I mean, that's part of being an empath. A lot of people be like, oh, you shouldn't say empath if it's related to, trauma. But the reality is that's part of being an empath. The clairsentience will build up because you're from a survival perspective. It's like this second sense, almost like if you're blind, you hear better. Like because of this trauma down here, people, you know, are constantly feeling to feel if they're safe. They're constantly pressing out their aura to kind of read people. That's not necessarily a healthy thing. I mean, it's better to just have good boundaries and not do that,
Yeah, but
and
it's
that's how but that is part of being sensitive. And I feel like with COVID and being shut down, like you're saying, people being locked inside, I feel like the pandemic is really, it's a mass trauma to the
yeah,
first and second chakra, because part of the sacral chakra is the need to touch and to feel and to be around, like to have like a connection and intimacy, and we haven't been able to have that. And it's also triggered the root chakra with, will I be able to survive, will I die, like worrying about survival stuff. So I feel like, yes, people have been sitting there becoming more clairsentient, if you would, and then going out to the world and being like, oh fuck, like I not not only do I not want to be around these people because I'm scared I'm going to get COVID, but I don't want to be around these people because this is too much energy for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's You just said that perfectly. That's
Yeah.
that's like the trip I've been on, but haven't really figured out the words yet. But yeah, it's so wild, because I guess it's happening to so many people right now, and so it's just
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like that's what it is. And I think just realizing how much um of other people's energy you pick up, and just even realizing what your own energy is, I think, is like going to
For
be mind
sure.
blowing and shocking to people.
Yeah.
Is there anything, I mean, I guess now is such a weird time, but is there like a main thing you notice among your clients that is just like a real easy fix? I don't know if there is, but
Oh, to that.
or just in general, like something where people are just like not, like like not drinking enough water, or not
Yeah.
paying enough, I don't know, stretch or whatever. Like, is there something that just you've noticed people just
um
don't do in general?
Well, grounding for sure. I mean, grounding is so important. I think getting out into nature is really important. Breathing, that's a breathe, just like setting an alarm to breathe like 3 or 4 times a day. That comes up for people regularly. Um, I mean, as far as like COVID and the vaccines, for people who have had COVID or have had the vaccine, my guides were really loud about people working with selenite and fluorite to help balance like some of the brain fog and the kind of confusion that I feel has happened with both people who have gotten COVID and who have had the vaccine. So that's
Yeah.
been a regular thing that's come up for people. I'm trying to think if there's anything.
I
I mean, I
wrote
could
a
say,
song about that actually
oh, you
about your
did?
yeah, you said it's like pull out the stuffing and pour in the silver light. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's okay to say, but I'll
yeah,
send
of
you the
course.
song later.
Well, your information is all yours. You can share it with whoever you want.
um yeah, no, that's cool. That's good to know. I think yeah, I mean, I feel like if you even just the trauma around it is like causes brain fog. I feel like
For
just this
sure.
whole year I've just been like, "Oh, what's that word?" Like, I
Yeah.
don't remember it. Just like yeah, just I think when you go through a lot, you have to like kind of put on hold a lot of your information. And I put on hold
Yeah.
like all the names of all the clubs that we played, all of like the bands we like. People like, so what bands are you into now? And I'm like,
I
mm,
don't know. I don't
yeah,
remember.
I don't know. But do you? I don't know if it's a secret, but do you? Can you like walk me through or these humans through like your process for what you do in your office, or is that
Oh, no, that's fine. I
okay?
mean, no, it's not a secret.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes before it's not so much, it hasn't been so much this year or even last year because I haven't been doing obviously as many in-person sessions. You're like one of maybe 15 people I've worked on in person for like the past year and a half.
That's
I
I
opened my
feel
books up and you got on, so you were lucky. I'm actually probably going to close in-person sessions just for a couple months until we see what's going on with,
yeah,
all this. Because I have a kid, and I'm right now stripping layers of myself off with this process, this healing process that I'm going through. So I don't want to put myself in danger.
yeah,
Um, but the distance sessions also, obviously you can't have crystals laid on you. I do a crystal layout and do still do distance Reiki, which it goes, we're all on a grid, so it just goes where it goes. And I still get 2 pages worth of downloads. So, the distance session's great. But when somebody comes in person, what used to happen before COVID, when I was doing a lot of in-person sessions, is sometimes I'd be in the middle of taking a shower, and I'd start getting the download for the person, or
whoa,
I'd be driving on my
yeah,
car and I'd start getting information about the person. I was like, fuck, like, don't do that. I would tell my guys, don't do that till I get there, because I don't want to be like
yeah,
voice texting in my car. But anyways, typically a person comes in and we talk about what it is that they want to work on. And as we're talking, I'm already getting a download of information. So I'll start taking notes on that form that I provided with you for
yeah,
you. So I'm tuning in that way. And then once I've, we've kind of established what you want to work on. A lot of times you'll say something you want to work on, but you already mentioned something, like say you're one, I want to, attract the man of my life or something like that, or the woman of my life, the partner of my life, the they of my life. Maybe
yeah,
that's what you came in to do,
yeah,
but but right before that you had talked about your mom, and the guides will be like, that thing that she's talking about, right? That's what you need to talk about right now.
right,
That's the whole point underneath all of it. And a lot of times I wind up interrupting people and we go, into that a little bit. So the guides will kind of direct the conversation a little bit, or something's louder than other things like that make more sense, that needs to be worked on. But once we've established what it is that needs to be worked on, then you get on the table, and then I measure your chakras to see what's out of alignment, usually using a pendulum. And then I lay stones on your body and around your body. So I create a grid. And it's not just like, oh, let's just do the rainbow down the body, put every color, because, if a chakra is overactive, you don't want to put more of that color on there. You want to put something that will kind of calm it down.
yeah, like
So
my
I
heart.
just, yeah, I pick stuff intuitively, like, whatever. I'll go over to my 3 trays of crystals, and whatever I feel wants to be there or I'm drawn to, that's what I lay on the body. And then I go to my tuning forks, and my guides are usually like, which are planetary tuning forks. They're tuned to the different planet vibrations, and they'll kind of tell me what elements, what planetary elements you're needing more of. So for instance, say that you're really stuck energetically and you can't move through something, then my guides would probably point towards like Pluto and Jupiter, because
Cool.
Jupiter's super expansive and Pluto is all about like crazy, weird change, or Uranus and Jupiter or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I use the tuning forks. It's usually 2. And then I start running the energy. And I do a very abbreviated version of Reiki. Like when I just do a straight Reiki session with no crystals, it's very hard for me to do that because my guides are like, but we're doing this,
Yeah, yeah.
and they want to do all the things,
Yeah.
Um, so it's kind of an abbreviated version of Reiki. The healing session part, the energy session part. So it's probably like 20 to 25, 30 minutes of talking, depending on how much we're vibing and how much information is coming through. Sometimes that could be 40 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
And then the energy portion is usually about, 30 minutes. Because I'm working on multiple layers, so
Yeah.
I don't want to blast people out. Some people, I mean, I could blast people out and get them super fucking high, but I want them to be able to drive home,
Yeah, yeah.
So usually about 25, 30 minutes. And I go on both sides of the body, the head and the feet. And then at the end, I kind of seal you up and put you into like a Reiki bubble, if you would.
Yeah.
And I always, you always saw, I wash my hands afterwards. That's just a way of me. It's like ritual for me to separate energetically from you.
Right. That's
Since
cool.
I was deep into your field. And then I come back and then we kind of go over what came up. And then that's the last like half hour of it.
Yeah. Well, one thing that was so funny when you did it is that when you started, when we were just talking, it was like the guides were just telling you stuff from my mom, which is, and you were like, all right, that's enough. Like, this isn't
Yeah.
for her. But that was super funny. And then one thing I wanted to mention just for, just because I think it's fun, like a fun fact of part of our session is that, like, I think some people might not, believe in this stuff or whatever because they're not ready yet to believe in the truth of the universe. But and I guess I'm just curious, is that like, so you told me that one of my past lives was a jazz or blues musician who was an addict. And like, since I was like 5, I've wanted to be Billie Holiday, like a jazz musician who was an addict, specifically. Like,
I'm getting goosebumps all over my body. I mean, I forget all of this, but I'm getting like waves of goosebumps going down.
Yeah, well, it's just so, I guess, like not, it's just so weird to me that I've been on this like I went to school for jazz. I'm not a jazz musician. No one in my family is a musician. Like, this is out of nowhere. And I've been following this very specific, bizarre path, and then to meet you. You have no idea of these things at all, because
I didn't know you from Joe. I had no idea.
Well, I didn't book the session,
Yeah.
so it wasn't even a way that you could know anything about me. And to, like, when you said that, I was just like, wait a second, what? Like, my life has been so focused on this thing that was another life, and I guess time isn't linear, so it could. I guess, could you even explain a little bit about how things overlap like that? Or if you could, I don't know if that's something.
Oh, like different timelines? Oh man, that always makes my head feel like I'm going into a fucking
okay, never mind.
Weird hole. No, it's okay. I mean, so to me, there's alternate lifetimes. There's times that are going at the same time. So there's those past lives. I feel like, yes, I feel like time is like this, you know what I'm saying? So it's not just like this and then it ends and then this and then it ends and then this. I've never explained this before. I'm literally just doing it right now.
No,
but
so good
I
so
feel
far.
like it goes. I feel like it goes like this, right? So this doesn't ever end. So I feel like it, vibrationally, it could still be going on. I mean, that's the best way to know how to put it.
Wow,
but I've seen alternative lifetimes that feel like they're on a whole other plane of existence. Those are weird. I've only had like maybe 10 of those. I think I've worked on about 3,500 people doing these sessions.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that one that's going at the same time has only happened like 10 or 12 times. And that's always really trippy. Past lives do come up there. And there's been people that come in and like, I don't know that, or in the past, not so much, really weirdly during COVID and during distant sessions, the guides like really put a hold on that for some reason. I think it's because we're so stuck in first and second chakra and being on the physical plane and being on earth and earth going through this ascension process that they were like, that's not what's important right now. You know what I'm saying? Like but 2 years ago, or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, there would be people that would come into my sessions with the desire to have past life. Like that's what they're came in intentionally
Right.
in their head. They didn't tell me. And all of a sudden the guys are giving me like 15 past lives. And I'm like, holy shit. And I've literally said that to
Yeah.
people, like, I don't know why they're giving me so much past life info. And they're like, well, that's the reason why I wanted to come see you. I don't do just strictly past life readings. Like those are,
Right.
and the guides are choosy as far as to what comes through. And sometimes it's a glimpse of something. It's just like, oh, well, you were a sailor in Portugal, it'll be just a glimpse. And then, or they give it for specific, but usually in my sessions, they give it for a specific purpose. It's like something to heal, or a way for you to understand yourself better, or something to clear, or something to let go of, or a talent to pull in so that you can enhance your life.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like everything that you said. I mean, there's some stuff where I still have so much work to do. Yeah, it's been 2 months and there's so much stuff I haven't even started yet. But everything, I think it is just like, yeah, who your higher self and your guides and all of these things are just like, pay attention to this stuff. Like, you're not
Yeah.
listening, or maybe you are, but I'm going to highlight it now and then
Yeah.
throw it to you and you just know it. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's the coolest thing ever. It's so cool. But I think, and it feels so good to know that it feels good for you. Like,
Oh yeah, I don't get drained at all. People are like, I'm so sorry. Like, or, like people come in here and cry and they like, I mean, I've actually cried from some of the stuff people were saying. And it was just like, it wasn't even like, I mean, it was my feeling a little bit, but it was really like, I felt like I was helping to process
yeah,
some of it energetically. And they would apologize. I'm like, don't ever apologize. I mean, I've heard some of them, I've heard fucking horror stories, and I've heard not horror stories, but I don't, I don't really ever feel drained. I mean, the only time I think I've ever felt drained, and it wasn't like, I've done like in person, like mini readings where I did like 30 in a day.
wow,
That's a little draining. But I
yeah,
also think
yeah,
that's also because I'm sitting in this, high vibrational state, channeling information for, 7 hours. That's different than just doing, I only do 2 sessions a day. That's like what I
yeah.
limited myself to. So
Can can you or not can will you describe how you, like, if you have a daily thing you do, or how you ground yourself or prepare to do sessions?
well, I do the pointing at my solar plexus thing.
Okay.
I think just having a child is very grounding.
Okay,
you
yeah,
know,
totally.
Having my son, it just keeps me in my body.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I do a little bit of breath work or breathing in the shower just to bring myself present. But I
Yeah.
don't, I should be doing like the squats, like one of the things that comes up for people is squats or sitting on the ground. I do try to get into nature at least 2 or 3 times a month minimum,
Yeah.
but I don't really have like a daily thing. I think I've just been doing this for so long. I mean,
Yeah.
other than like making sure to wash my hands and like when I get in the shower, kind of tuning into myself and breathing is
Yeah.
really, because literally breathing, like we wouldn't think that breathing, that, we breathe, right? Everybody breathes. You have to breathe to live, but you'd be surprised. I mean, I even hold my breath. I notice that I hold my breath sometimes.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to do that. So when you actually focus on breathing, just breathing, it actually brings you back into your body.
That's so cool. Well,
Yeah.
um sorry. Oh, well, yeah, I just feel like, I guess another thing I'd just like to say is that before before I went there, um and I will say for everyone, like, I don't think that the part of being in there was like more important. Like, I think doing it online, not online, but remote,
Just,
yeah,
yeah.
wouldn't make any difference. Like, I didn't understand how that would be before I went in there, because like I've done a few things with friends that are psychic, done like readings with me, um
Yeah.
ever so slightly, and I was just like, I don't really know how this is working, like, because for me, I have to, like, at until or now at least, I have to be around someone to know what their energy is versus mine for some reason.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna work on it. But yeah,
Mm,
I felt like, I just always feel like I'm that when I go outside and I go somewhere, that I'm like putting on a scuba gear, and I have like a limited amount of oxygen and a little bit amount of time, and everyone else is fine, but I'm just
yeah.
like counting down the minutes till I can get back home and be safe. And it's like that
Yeah.
has like completely like gone away since seeing you. Just like I don't feel yeah, I don't feel like like my nest is essential, and I don't feel like that's the only place I can be safe. I feel like you gave me like tools to like
Yeah.
feel safe outside, which is sad in a way that I didn't have that
You
before.
know, darling,
But
that's part of that was part of your journey and part of, you know, the traumas that you've had to deal with in life and, being sensitive in general and being a bright, also being a performer.
yeah,
I think that, and I think you said like when you perform, you're not even really in your body, you're inspired. We're creating art, we're inspired, which means we're within spirit, we're like connected,
yeah,
but, I still feel that was part of your process. So I don't think it's strange. I think that a lot of people there's so many sensitive people now. I mean,
yeah,
I'll tell you, I started, managing a crystal store. I mean, obviously I work for myself. I've been working for myself for almost 4 years now, but I managed a crystal store for 11 years. And, what was my point of saying that? I
like
totally lost my
people
train
are
of thought.
getting sensitive, maybe.
Oh yeah. So just seeing the difference, from when I first started working in a metaphysical store to now, it's like so many people are waking up.
Yeah,
So many people are waking up, realizing. Plus, I think that empath and crystals, like that's become, it's more widespread. It's more part of popular culture, if you would. Like people are
yeah,
more aware of it. You've got Gwyneth Paltrow selling fucking vagina rocks. It's pretty like,
yeah,
it's become pretty popular, if you would. So I think that people are becoming more aware, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
I used to like, I was a goth girl when I was in high school, and then was a raver, which is a really weird transition. I guess it's not, because
So
industrial and electronic
that's
music are
cool.
pretty similar, yeah. But I used to be like, you know, or not like, if anybody started liking the things that I liked, because I, was like a little
Yeah,
niche group, I was like kind of like snotty about it,
for
And
sure.
at first with crystals, I was like that. And then I was like, how can you fucking be like that? Honestly, I mean, granted, like you should definitely buy crystals and get energy work from people who know what the fuck they're doing. I'll
Yeah,
just say that, because you just should. You don't want people opening up trauma, or you don't want to buy crystals where people don't know what the fuck it is. But I'm grateful that this is expanding, so that because we're on this path together as humanity to grow and heal, and I think it's a good thing, you know. I mean, I'm definitely a rock snob, that's for sure. And I'm definitely a snob when it comes to energy work, which, I just think that, but there's somebody for everybody,
yeah. Well,
you
I
know.
think it totally. I think it's when the pendulum swings from like
Mhm.
it's going so far where it's like people that don't know anything about like
Yeah.
rocks or where they're getting it are getting it, but then it comes back to the center and it's like, oh,
Mhm.
that's part of, like how people all over are doing yoga, and it seems sort of like
Yeah.
annoying or whatever, or just like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not real, but it's like, yeah, it is. It's They want the same
Yeah.
things, they just
Oh, for
maybe
sure.
are getting there differently. But it's
Yeah.
sometimes it's fun to be snobby.
Yeah.
I lived in New York for like 11 years, so I can't even believe that like I didn't know that what crystals were, or or
Yeah.
astrology or anything, but now I'm like, oh, it's just fun. Like
Yeah.
it's fun, and it's like it makes so much sense. It's like
Well, and it's
every
good. I mean, it's good to like get to know yourself. Self-exploration is amazing. And I think the whole point of being on the planet is for us to heal and evolve as spirits or as beings, And these are just tools. And I think it's important to have these tools for sure. I mean, my life has changed drastically. I mean, specifically with crystals and Reiki has changed drastically in the past. And I mean, I used to be a pushover. I was a people pleaser. I didn't know how to say no. I would, and then I was just hanging out with really toxic people that would swallow up all my energy,
yeah,
and granted, I don't have a huge group of friends. I mean, I have friends, but that got very limited. When I started to really go on this path, I lost a lot of people, and I think that happens to a lot of people. I
yeah,
think also a lot of times people get onto the spiritual path, and this is where I think sometimes my snottiness comes in, is that their pendulum swings all the way where they just think that they know everything.
yeah,
It's like once you start knowing, you realize how much you don't know, and once you
yeah.
become conscious, you can't stop being conscious.
That's
So spiritual work is hard work.
yeah,
Self-healing, it's difficult work, but it's so worth it.
yeah. Well, I'm like addicted at this point because all of the things you said of how you were before is like I just am waking up to that reality of like, oh my god, I didn't take any authority over life. I just let it
Yeah.
happen, and like
Yeah.
um
Yeah,
And
no is a powerful word. It's an amazing word,
yeah, well,
you know?
yeah, it's far out because, yeah, it's like people think you're being, yeah, if you're just like people please, or if you just, if you can sense everyone's how they feel, I can sense how people feel before I can feel my feelings. So
Yeah.
I'm adjusting constantly to that. And now that I've realized that, I'm like, that's kind of rude to them and me. Like, I'm not even doing it to be nice. I'm doing it because it's whatever reaction. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm people's feelings are so shitty that I'm scared to have my own feelings. And now I'm like, oh, I want to have my own feelings because
Yeah.
that's, and so it's just like this, so it's like ongoing thing of like, and like feel feelings and stop feeling other people's feelings. But yeah,
Yeah.
and and that's what led me to you. And now I feel, yeah, just like constant everyday learning so much shit, and wanting to apply it and wanting to like learn about, how to help other people in ways that aren't like shutting down their feelings, just like letting their feelings flow for them, like over
Yeah.
there.
Or absorbing it and processing it for them, which a lot of people do too. It's like you don't want to absorb other people's shit and process it. That's for
Uh-uh.
them. It's like it's almost like stealing people's karma too when you don't allow them to do what it is for them that they need to do. You
Whoa,
know,
that's
you need to
cool.
let them have their experience rather than sucking all that out of them so that they don't have to, and I understand that, especially, the healer, being a healing practitioner and working in this field, you want to take people's pain away from them.
Yeah.
But I don't. That's why I didn't last. I was a massage therapist for like 3 years. I did not last.
Yeah.
I would go, like, I'd work on Kevin, who had a knee problem, and all of a sudden Laura had a knee problem. Or I'd work on Jane and she was depressed, and I'd feel depressed for a week. And I was like, I'm
Wow.
not doing this anymore. I transferred to doing healing work, energy work, because I was too sensitive. And
Yeah.
usually people who want to help people like that, that happens. They wind up taking on specifically for their family or for their lovers or for their friends.
Yeah. Well, how do you recommend like not doing that?
Having good boundaries.
Just boundaries.
Yeah, and saying no, like it's really hard for us to say no, or hold space for somebody and say, I recognize that you're going through this and that you're having a trouble, and I could be here to listen to you. But before you do that, if you're somebody that absorbs, you want to make sure you really ground yourself. Grounding is like, if nobody did anything with any of my sessions, if they
Yeah.
just ground themselves and breathe, like even if they didn't get all the crystals or the oils or talk to their guides or do the manifestation spells or whatever, just fucking grounding and breathing like is a fucking game changer.
Yeah.
Like legitimately.
What do you mean like grounding?
So grounding, like one of the things that comes up, which is funny, and they're what, my guides will tell people to like do 10 to 15 squats,
Oh, okay.
because that muscular part of your body is like the biggest muscular part of your body.
Yeah.
Get you in your body, or like sit on the ground, or lay on the ground, or sit on
Oh,
a
okay.
tree, or yeah, eat a
Yeah.
hamburger. That's grounding too.
Okay, cool. I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, am I missing something? Yeah, I've been doing I on the dog walk. The dog's sitting right there. That's why I'm pointing at it. But every day on the dog walk, I go, like lay down in the grass and I say, you gave me something to say about calling your energy in and
Yeah.
releasing not your energy. But yeah,
Nice.
that's like, so I'm doing that. So there's
Good.
that. Maybe everyone else can do it too. Um,
Yeah.
well, thank you so many million for everything. Is there where can people go to find you?
Well, if you're on Instagram, then Laura Ellis 333. So it's LAURAELLIS 333 is my Instagram. I do live crystal sales on there if people are interested in buying. I don't really sell like your average Joe, like not boring, but I
I
sell
love
like I'm a crystal nerd. So you
Yeah,
get
I
like
love everything I got from you, and I got a lot.
beautiful. Nice. So I do that there, and I do, if people would prefer not to have like emails and stuff like that, then I do um announce my classes and stuff like that on there. And you can actually book me if you go in my in the bio section there.
Okay.
You can book me for just readings. I do regular just readings too. I prefer to do multi-modality distance sessions because I feel like people should have the energy work along with the information. When I do just readings, those are usually 30-minute readings. Um, that's still some of the same information, but not as in depth, if you would. Um, so you can book me, yeah, you can book me through there, or you can go to my website, which is lauraellis333.com.
Cool. Well, I
Yeah.
will add those for sure. Well, thank you. Is there anything else you would like to say before we go to the
Nothing
people?
really. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm
Oh yeah.
so, I mean, I'm so honored to be a part of your healing process. I think it's great that we both know Marcella. I think, is Kelsey the one
Yeah.
that got you to see? I love Kelsey. So thank you to those ladies for just bringing you into orbit in my environment too, and I'm glad I got a chance to work on you. Like I said, I wasn't lying when I said that in your birthday post. Like, it really was a pleasure to work on you. It made me really happy because I could
Oh,
see how open you are and how ready to shift. And I felt really connected. So I'm
that's
grateful
so
to you. So
cool.
keep shining your beautiful light too.
Thank. Oh wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and have
Thank
the
you,
best
darling.
week. And
You too.
okay. Bye.
Be well. Bye.